New Zealand.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, we are glad to have you with us. No need for introductions of the man below here. As always, Mr. Robert Samborski of Apollon Nutrition. And our guest of honor, if you are not familiar with him, he's the owner of Dark Side Gym in Gloucester. He is the owner of Alpha Neon. He's outspoken, basically gives no Fs. He's been on the show before, and we're glad to have him back. Mr. Adrian in the UK. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you? How are you getting on?
Good, man. Good. And Robert, how are you, my friend?
Great to be back, and I'm very excited. And of course, with Adrian, it's always, it's an event. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been a while. We appreciate it, Adrian. My Sundays are always kind of wacky, but I know it works best for all of us. We appreciate you jumping on with us today.
Yeah, of course, man. No worries.
So we got a couple of questions. We'll just kind of jump in here. A lot of good questions here. Like, maybe one of you guys could chime in. How is the UK supplement industry different from the US? I don't know if there's, when it comes to ingredients, dosages.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, there's a lot more allowed in the US market than is allowed over here. Like, for instance, Alpha GPC is completely...
Oh, Adrian, we lost you. Adrian, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute. But go ahead. Alpha GPC, you were saying Alpha GPC.
I'm here.
Yeah, something with connection.
All right. Well, Robert, maybe you can chime in because I know you're dealing a lot with international now. Have you had to change anything with your distribution or anything?
Well, like Adrian said, Alpha GPC I know is often.
Yeah, so that's a novel food over here, which basically means we just can't use.
Okay, Adrian, we lost you for a minute. You said Alpha GPC, but anything else that's kind of banned over there? Oh, we might have a difficulty here, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, probably has to log out and log in again.
Yeah. Adrian, log in and log back out. Log out. There you go. All right. So
no. I mean, as far as I've been there twice. I went to the Arnold Classic UK, and it's definitely a different scene for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But other than Alpha GPC, I know it's also a little bit more complicated to source such things as nitrates. So that makes a difference too.
But what about some of the other geographies? I think you've been very transparent with some of the other geographies, and I don't know if it's been openly transparent with some of the other areas you're working with.
It's every country is very, very much different. I mean, certain things, like I remember Russia, I think 200 milligram of caffeine is the most that you can use.
Yep.
I think that's about it. Russia actually is interesting. I remember citrulline was only allowed, I think, 1 gram. So that was very interesting. We used to 3, 4, 5, 10 grams. So every market, I mean, if you bring your stuff legally to any country, you definitely have to find out what works and what's allowed.
Yep. Okay, Adrian, I think we got you back, brother. You say I think you said Alpha GPC is no good in the UK.
Hello.
Adrian, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Adrian?
Yeah, I can hear you now, mate. Sorry. Yeah,
that's okay. I think you said Alpha GPC can't be used in the UK.
There's a lot of ones. There's like Alpha GPC, Yohimba. A lot of that type of stuff is not allowed over here. Like, you have a lot more kind of freedom on what you can use, which is good in a way because it makes us kind of, how do we kind of get that feeling out of more nootropics and things like that. But they are going after like things like turkey tail and stuff like that.
Interesting. Do you guys have a cap on caffeine over there?
Yeah, 400 milligrams is kind of the standard. Once you kind of go above that, it can be frowned upon. Right. So yeah, there would be that also.
And does everything in the UK, does everything have to be fully transparent, or do people do prop blends over there too? Oh, Adrian, I think we lost you again. All right. So, Robert, maybe
you guys hear me? What's going on?
Adrian, you got us?
Yeah, Adrian, I got you, man. I don't know what's wrong because my signals. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard me. So prop blends allowed over in the UK?
No, they're completely not allowed. No, you're not. You have to be fully transparent with absolutely everything over here. It's always been that way. I've never. I've been in the industry for a long, long time, and I've never seen it any way different over here. Just because it's just the way it's run over here. Like the thing is, they kind of have like things called novel foods, which basically means that it's adherent to a certain time frame that the market stuff has been on board. And even to a certain degree, like even things like we'll say like trademark ingredients to a certain degree, like some of them don't really have validity over here and stuff like that. So it's kind of a weird kind of, I don't know, space that it kind of lives in. But the thing is, you just got to adhere to it and just be fully compliant, and then you'll be able to build your brand. I think when I see people kind of, and even myself, like sometimes I'm like, shit, I didn't know that's being pulled now and this is being pulled here, and you just have to, be really diligent about it, and it's just the way it is. And they have a lot more absolute power over here. It's just like, there's no like, I suppose they just tell you, look, that's not allowed, and that's it, and just reformulate it, and that's it. They'll usually say, okay, sell what you have, and then whatever, as long as it's not fully banned. Novel and banned are slightly different. But yeah, look, I think it's just.
But this is actually very interesting. This is interesting, Adrian. I have a question. So, if the company in the United States is using prop blends, and so that means to get legally into UK, they have to open the labels.
I would say so. Yeah, like if they want to be like kind of have a foothold here, they probably would. But I think it's just.
Yep. It's just going to be a fun podcast.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we got you back.
Can you hear me, guys? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where I think a lot of the American companies have kind of opened up to the full transparency. I haven't really seen many companies really have proprietary blends over here from the States, but I think it just depends really. But yeah, you have to be fully compliant with that over here. Yeah, but obviously there's a kind of, I suppose, a window that you could say, oh, well, this was imported from America, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, if you want to like have a foothold here, get it manufactured here, get it brought out over here, then you would have to do that. Yeah, 100%.
The one thing I got to give you kudos to, Adrian, is Robic and I talk about this all the time, is there's companies here in the US, they're transparent. Oh boy. So Robic, while waiting for Adrian and Shane, let's talk about the Apollon seminar here, because I know you got blown up with a lot of questions. Still knock on wood on target for October, correct?
Yeah, October 18th.
Okay, and I know you've got a couple of questions that came in that how come there's no influencers on the panel? You want to discuss that at all?
Well, the thing is with influencers is, with one of the stars on the panel, we were talking actually 2 days ago, and it seems to me like it's very disrespectful, well, to me at least, when you have an influencer on a poster. And I do understand, listen, I'm not ignorant to the fact that the influencers sell. They do sell. I do understand that, especially on TikTok, and they bring a lot of attention, and some of the influencers are very, very high level. But the thing is that only in this industry, like, would you have an influencer, say, for example, in basketball? Would you have an influencer in boxing or stuff like that? I mean, you can probably argue about Jake Paul to an extent, probably. But Jake Paul is actually a good boxer. I mean, he proved he can box, and he's a good entertainer, and he can fight. Maybe he's not elite level, but the guy can sell tickets. Other than that, when you have a bunch of kids...
Do you think he can actually box, Robic? You think he can box?
I don't think he can box on a very high level. I don't think, but he's a
he's a good amateur boxer. He's a
good amateur boxer for sure.
He's going to get.
I mean, he fought a couple of guys that have retired, but like I said, I always give props to the guys who are working hard, and he clearly works hard. I mean, his skills are definitely there. They not, of course, when he's challenging Anthony Joshua and stuff like that, that's ridiculous. But at the same time, I'll give him that. But other influencers who you have that never competed in any event, amateur or or professional, they have they have nice physiques, but at the same time, kids are, I don't know, influenced by them, and they buying products. I'm okay with all that. That's not a problem. But when you have an event, like, for example, a seminar, or you have an event at some kind of a gym where you're inviting people that have accomplished a lot in different sports, whether they won major competitions or they won Mr. Olympia, or they won major, UFC event or something like that. And then you have an influencer that essentially achieved nothing other than, jumping up and down on TikTok. He has achieved absolutely nothing. I think it's a bit of a slap in the face. And plus, on top of it, let's be honest. You have somebody like, say, we had Ronnie Coleman, right, at Apollon gym. And if you have, influencers who are hot this minute, and we had an influencer back then, and it's great. But at the same time, take any influencer that basically is just a TikTok personality, and let's fast forward 10 or 20 years from now, you will still know who Jay Cutler is. You will still know who Phil Heath is. You will still know who Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates are. Those people are legends, obviously, in fighting. Shamrock and Fedor and Chuck Liddell. Those guys they done fighting, but you will know who they are if you're a fan of the sport 10, 20 years from now. Muhammad Ali. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we felt that, having influencers on a panel with real athletes and real personalities that have achieved something concrete, whether through education, business, sports, I don't think it's a good mix. I don't think it's fair also to accomplished athletes to be sitting next to somebody who is a TikTok star. I mean, you have a lot of people today on social media that have become stars, but it's just not right. So when I see events at different gyms or supplement stores, and on a poster you have these influencers with 1 or 2 million followers, and they have at the same event they have an athlete who has achieved a lot through, literally guts and blood, who has achieved a lot, and that person is either featured, his photo is this big on a poster, or maybe not featured at all just because he has 50,000 followers versus a TikTok star who has 1 million or 2. It just doesn't sit well with me. I think it's disrespectful and a smack in the face.
Yeah, because I know you kind of jumped off for a minute, Adrian. Nootropic has a yearly seminar. I don't know if you're familiar with the seminar that he puts on, brings in like cream of the crop from the MMA, from the bodybuilding world, fitness world, and obviously he's getting blown up with people kind of saying, well, why can't you put me on the panel as well? Case closed. Again, 20 years we'd be talking about you. But that's a big problem I shouldn't say problem over here, Adrian, is a lot of influencers and reviewers. I mean, is this prevalent over there besides the Review Brothers? You have that problem where people are always bothering you for free product and reviews and all that bullshit?
Yeah, but they're kind of like, they're more like, I've got like 50 followers and I'm following my dream of becoming a professional bodybuilder, but I see more meat in a fucking chicken nugget. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, it's like, and I don't want to be nasty because I don't want to shit in someone's dream, but like, let's look at Phil Heath, for instance. When he was playing basketball, the guy was jacked. He probably had a better body than most guys walking the streets, and he never lifted a weight. Well, he probably did a bit of arms and some shit like everybody does. And then he went into bodybuilding. The guy was a genetic freak, and probably didn't take gear for a long period of time. Yeah, I see these guys who have little to no genetics, and because they've watched a couple of videos on, time under tension or some horseshit that they're trying to validate on their videos, and they're doing a 1-arm lat pull down with 5 fucking kilos and using the most perfect form ever, and they can't deadlift 100 kilos off the floor, that they're somehow starting their physical journey. And it's like, dude, just fucking stop, will you? Just reel it in. I'm not going to give any free products because I didn't get them free, and that's just the way it is. And like I always say to people, look, there's an ambassador program. You want to join that? If you do enough with us, then we'll get you as an athlete. In other words, just prove your fucking self, because people can buy followers. And I'm not going to be like, looking over people's profiles and doing all this horseshit. I got better shit to be doing with my life. You know what I mean? Like, and the big influencers, obviously over here, you've got like KSI and stuff like that, but they've all gone into the bodybuilding spectrum, or the boxing spectrum. And I think that's really cool, because it brings boxing to kids rather than just bodybuilding. Because the problem is with bodybuilding is, I love it. It's amazing. But when I was younger, nobody really talked about steroids or drugs or anything like that. It wasn't the thing you talked about. It was almost like a little secret that nobody knew about. And that was the way it was. And when you earned your stripes, then it was discussed to you. And like I used to, train with a lot of powerlifters at the time. I became powerlifting champion. And even then they didn't talk to me about it. It wasn't until later on that I was introduced to it. And I didn't start taking gear until I was like 24, 25-ish. So, I mean, like, the reality, and at the end of the day, I became a really good bodybuilder. Like I went for my pro card, did all that stuff, and then decided, look, this is enough for me. I didn't feel I was good enough because I finished second twice, and that back then you had to win like regional, national, etc., and go on and do all that stuff. And you know, the problem with all of that is like you don't have to earn your stripes nowadays.
Yeah.
He makes a valid point.
No, I know he does. I know he does.
And realize you're good at something. Like the one other thing about like if you don't win, like there's a very
Adrian, we're losing you again, brother. Adrian, we're losing you again.
There. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you back. We got you back. So we lost. It's okay. So are you just watching boxing, or are you an MMA guy too, Adrian?
Oh, I love MMA. I've got like I think the last time they were here with the UK, we went to see Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman down in the O2 for my birthday. It was actually my birthday. My brother brought me down, and yeah, I love MMA probably more so. Like back in the day, I used to go to the martial arts magazines and save up my money and then send dollars over in envelopes and buy the UFC. Like, and you know, we were mad into Ken Shamrock because he was getting into the wrestling at the time as well against Owen Hart and doing all that stuff. So we, you know, Dan the Beast Severn, you know, you had like the Gracies obviously, and they set that whole thing up, I guess, to prove that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was valid because Hoist was so small compared to the other jacked up guys, and you know he took him down, submitted them. But obviously he was wearing a gi, which obviously I don't know if you've ever. I'm sure you've done some jiu-jitsu, but like with a gi, it's its own weapon. Like it's not.
Robert, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I mean, like, he's right.
Yeah, so like I think.
Adrian, you there? We keep losing you, brother. We keep losing you.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
So
Babe, I got to do something about this.
It makes it fun.
It's all right. So, Robert, I'll ask you, and if Adrian's still on, so where would you place Brock Lesnar as an MMA fighter?
You know what? I'm kind of. I think Adrian will agree with me on this one. When I heard that Brock Lesnar is doing MMA, I was like not only skeptical, I thought it was a joke. But I always respect guys who are trying, and he trained hard. I mean, he tried, and he wasn't. I can't say he was bad. I mean, he fought Frank Mir and he won. And I mean, he did become a champion, and his performance was. I would not rate him as one of the greatest. That's for sure. You know, when it comes to MMA, I wouldn't think so. But I will respect the fact that he achieved a lot, and he had the balls. You have to have a set of very big balls to do what he did, regardless of money, regardless, you know, of the fact that, you know, whether you're good or not, but just to step into that cage, that's impressive. And so I think what he's done is amazing. I would not call him one of the greatest. I would probably not even put him in the top 10, but nevertheless, the guy was a champion, and I respect what he's done.
What about you, Adrian? You know,
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah. A WWE guy, NCAA champion, absolute animal. I think he did have more juice in him than Troppa fucking Cano when he was training. But like at the end of the day, I think
that's true.
They're all fucking juiced to the nines then. But like I think the argument that I would have is he did it and just walked off the street and then went into MMA. Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah. You keep going in and out, brother. We might have to just do a. We just have to do a retake.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. Because I have it on full. It's full bar connection here. But you know, as I was saying, with Brock Lesnar, the argument's always like, what if he started in his infancy, never went to the WWE, and became a UFC fighter? How good would he have been then? Because like he fought Frank Mir, he got beaten by a knee bar the first time. Then he went back and he fought Heath Herring and broke his orbital bone and smashed the shit out of him, like beat the fuck out of him. And then he went and fought, I think, Frank Mir again, beat the brakes off him. Then Shane Carwin fucked him up in the first round. He came back, side choked him, and then I think he went and fought. I
think it was Liddell or
Randy
somebody.
Couture, and then Couture. No, Couture, yeah. He knocked him out, took the belt. And then I think he got diverticulitis after that. And then obviously like Overeem beat the fuck out of him. He like liver kicked him and smashed fuck out of him. And then I think then he had Cain Velasquez absolutely hammered the fuck out of him. But again, like, you've got to look at, like, you know, he came back, I think, at UFC 300 and beat the fuck out of Mark Hunt that time. But yeah, like, as I said, like, you've got to look at, like, he had diverticulitis, which half his intestine removed, and still came back to fight at an elite level. Like, so, I mean, like Robic said, I wouldn't even put him in my top 20, but you've got to look at, imagine walking in off the street, coming against guys who've grappled all their lives, did everything. Like, I think if he fought guys like Cormier and stuff like that, like he did against Velasquez, I think, you know, he was showing up big time then. But, like, he's just a genetic freak. Like, even when he went to the NFL, he was on the Minnesota Vikings, I think, or some shit like that. And it's like, how can you come off the street and have those levels, you know, to have, like, you know, his 50-yard dash, I think it was 4.6 or something like that, as a 300-pound man. Like, Jesus Christ. You know, he's a freak athlete. The only thing is, I will say, is when he got punched, he capitulated. And what I mean by that is he wasn't used to it. A guy that size, like, who really is going to walk up and punch that guy in the face, even as a teenager? Yeah. So, you know, the guy was probably he's probably got the same genetics as a myostatin bull. So, I mean, like, who the fuck is really going to go against that? Like, so, you know, like that, you've got to look at the body of work of what he did in such a short period of time. And for a guy from the WWE, if you look at CM Punk came over and he couldn't beat the shit out of a weight paper.
Yeah, that was not a fighter. I don't even know if he was a wrestler. You know, I mean, he was a performer. So he just got his ass handed to him. But Brock Lesnar, like I said, I would never disrespect him by saying anything. Was he juiced? Yeah, he was probably juiced up like crazy. And a lot of them were. I mean, over him, a lot of those guys in Pride days. But again, the guy performed. He performed rather well. You know, I've seen some people ranking him as a top 5, top 10 guy. And, you know, I said not top 10, but, you know, I'll agree with Adrian, probably not even top 20. But the guy did become a UFC champion, you know, whether it's against an old guy like Randy Couture or not. He did fight. I didn't think he could take a punch very well. He was definitely, he could not take a punch. And against an elite striker, he definitely struggled. But, you know, that's just observation and criticism, I guess, from the sidelines. But, yeah, I respect anyone who gets into that cage, except probably CM Punk. He shouldn't be in that cage. You know, but that's it. I mean, props to him.
Well, no, and have you seen Brock Lesnar's daughter? She's like a world-class shot putter. She's spitting image of him, like 220 probably.
She is a beast, Good luck to her boyfriend. That's all I say.
She's dating like a professional football player.
I hope he has some guns. That's all I say, fucking hell, because that's the only thing you're going to take down Brock Lesnar. Good luck with that. Imagine him opening the door. He'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'll talk to you later. Come and meet me. Fuck that. I'd be like, nah, I'm all right, man. I'm good. I'll leave her at home. Take care.
I'll have her home by 5 p.m. Nothing later.
I wouldn't even collect her, mate. I'll be just gone. I'll talk to you later, pal. I'm out of here. Take care. Here's some flowers for you, Brock. Love you, man.
So we got a couple of good questions rolling in there. Adrian, one for you. Any updates on Alpha Neon getting into the U.S. distribution?
I think because I got into more, I suppose, the manufacturing spectrum myself, and kind of starting from, you know, dot with that, and, you know, learning the ropes with that, I kind of, I wouldn't say parked it, just was like I had more important things to do. And I think the thing is, if you're kind of involved in that world, you kind of have to be all in. And if you're interested and you're kind of, I suppose, brain power is taken and putting on 10 different things at once, you have to kind of like, you have to kind of just sit back and say, well, what's important to me? And because I was given an opportunity, I guess, out of the blue with that, I was like, well, I've got to run with this and take it. But it's definitely something we've talked about. Like, I've even talked to Robic about it, and go on again, Bill. Yeah. So yeah, I hopefully, please God, by next year we should be over there.
Yeah, another thing too that Robic and I talk about, a big problem here in the U.S., and we kind of deterred for a minute. All these transparent companies, the one thing they don't have in their line is a transparent protein. They're all prop blended. So I don't know if it's mandatory in the UK, but you're one of the few people. Props to you for having a fully transparent protein label.
Yeah, I think Robic has one too, don't you, with that 50-50 formula as well? That's pretty.
But that's in the U.S. though. Here we're talking about internationally though. I mean, again, there's still a lot of people that are not doing fully transparent protein labels.
Yeah, I think it's just down to what you want to do. You know, like thing is, mate, like I know it sounds so probably convoluted, but I just don't look at what other people do. I just kind of, because I don't want to be influenced by everybody else. Because the problem is like, if you read so much information, sometimes you can think, oh, that was my idea, and then you come about it, and then someone goes, oh, you copied him, or you did this, or you did that, and it's like I just never want to be kind of tarnished with that brush. I kind of just let people do what they want. It's like for me, everything in alpha is either done with someone else in mind or myself in mind, usually myself, and it has to make sense to me. It's like, well, what do I want on a label? Like, what do I want to see? You know, what kind of, I suppose, would I like to see on that? And if I haven't really seen it in a couple of brands, or you know, haven't really seen it at all, I think fuck it, I'll do that. You know, so that's kind of where a lot of it comes from. And it's like, you know, when you're in a space, I know people say, oh, you should look at your competition. I only look at things if they come across my, you know, someone sends me a tub or something or asks me about something, then I'll have a look at it. But other than,
yeah,
and that's kind of like, I think you kind of have to be like that, really. I think you have to be kind of just follow your own suit. Like, don't get me wrong. Like the good thing is, look, my manufacturer's like my mentor. So if I have a batshit crazy idea, he'll turn around and go, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Like that's just stupid." And like I know half the time I probably do his fucking head in because I have, you know, ADHD brain all the fucking time. So I have like 50 million different ideas. I'm like, yeah, this will be awesome. And he's like, no, ream it in a bit. And I'm lucky as well. Like my missus is a bit like that. She's like, you know, just maybe think about that, which basically means you're being a fucking dumbass and stop being a dumbass. So I'm lucky I have people around me to reel me in. But I think for the most part, you can take influence from, you know, certain things and maybe say, does that fit what I can do? Can I take influence by that? And if you can't, just go, oh, fuck it, I'll just do something else. And I think that's kind of where a lot of stuff comes from. I couldn't tell you how many people have transparent labels or nothing, as in like with protein. I don't have a clue. I know protein is made slightly different in the US, you know, because I think a lot of it is anesthetized and stuff like that. You know, you put like soy lecithin in there. You know, over here it's kind of in all that type of stuff. So I think sometimes it's hard to kind of see what they're doing over there because there's different types of dairies and different types of stuff, and you know, dealing with dairy stuff is very, very difficult for the most part because obviously the fluctuations in it are so massive, you know, from time to time. Especially we've seen a recent kind of influx of that, and I'm sure Robert can attest to that too. So it is very hard to kind of nail something down on a regular basis and make sure that you want full transparency. For me, I do anyways, and I want to make sure that I'm bringing the best product, because if you don't have consistency with flavors, with even just the texture, especially protein is really sold on flavor. You know, you can have a great label, but if it tastes like dog shit, people just aren't going to buy it again and again and again. So like if I can't bring that to the table, I'll shelve it for a while, you know, and that's sometimes what has to be done. Like we had to shelve protein for a while because the cost went through the roof, and I was like, I don't think people are going to spend X amount on this. And then once we could kind of bring it back into the foray, we did that. So yeah, it's just that's the problem with it. And from a manufacturing standpoint, you know, you have like the problem with like a 2 kilo tub, it's this size. So, you know, getting tubs is an issue, getting fucking scoopers is an issue, getting proper lids is an issue. So like there's so many moving parts, you know, you've got your label, you've got your tub, you've got, you know, I have a 4 blend proteins. So there's 4 different proteins to go in there, you know, and it's trying to get every one of those at the right price at the right time. And one goes up, one goes down. It's just such a mind fuck. So a lot of the time,
I will tell you a very funny story that Adrian actually doesn't even know. I never told him that, but it has to do with him and our friendship. So I went the first time to Arnold Classic UK, and Adrian and I were, you know, we exchanged a couple of messages, and I really like him. And, you know, I don't like a lot of people. And so I go to Arnold Classic UK, and I'm like, I tried a couple of products from different, you know, companies. And you know my philosophy when it comes to pre-workout, I don't care what it tastes like, and I don't think anyone should. I mean, it's a great bonus when it tastes good, but I think, you know, it's a pre-workout, so, you know, with a bunch of nootropics and stuff like that, it's not very easy to flavor. So I think I can overlook that part, and I think a lot of people actually can too. But like Adrian said, protein, you know, aminos, that has to taste good. Hydration, that just has to taste good. And with today's technology, it's not that much of a, not that it's not that much of a challenge, but it's not that hard to make something taste good. And if you try a little bit harder, you can really make it taste phenomenal. So I'm at the Arnold Classic UK, my first one ever. I've talked to Adrian, but I've never met him. And I tried a couple of products there, and honestly, they're just not good. Like when it comes to taste, the ones that I stumbled on, there was like a couple of brands. I was not impressed at all. And then the review brothers are coming over to the booth, and I'm talking to them, and they're great friends, great kids. And they like, we're gonna take you to Adrian booth. I was like, oh great, fine. So I end up in Adrian booth, and we talk. And I'm like, shit, I really like this guy. He's really cool. And he's like, they like, you gotta try his protein. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to try his protein. And I'm putting this poker because I really don't want to fucking try his protein because I'm like, I'm so straightforward, and I'm not gonna like this shit. This is gonna be terrible. I'm like, this is a bad situation now. So they let me try it, and review brothers are saying his protein tastes really good. I'm like, yeah, right. So I tried his protein, and to my surprise, it fucking tastes delicious. Like it really tastes good. I'm like, thank fucking God, because this was a very bad spot to be in. So I didn't say nothing, but I was very happy, and I was like, give me something. I was very interested in one flavor, and what the fuck was it?
You've got some interesting ones, Adrian. It's a
Butterscotch
jammy
pancake, was it?
Scotch.
You get jam,
Butterscotch.
butterscotch pancake.
Butterscotch. Yeah. So I asked him, like, I want to try butterscotch. I think he didn't have it. So he goes to me, I'll send it to you. I'm like, I got to try this. And he sends me like a container of butterscotch, and that shit is phenomenal. Like it was so good. Like, and then I tried his chocolate hazelnut, I think, right? You had something hazelnut, and that was phenomenal. Like easily, and I'm not saying it because he's a friend, easily the best tasting protein that I tried, in UK, hands down. Not only is it transparent, but it also tastes very, very good. Like great stuff. Yeah. So if anyone wants to try it, I highly recommend. I always praise his protein. In fact, the fucker has to send me more, but he told me it's not ready.
I have some butterscotch actually coming in tomorrow, so I will send you some tubs. I promise.
Can you hear him?
Yeah. But Adrian, the funny thing is too, like you're not the norm. Like a lot of your protein flavors are not the standard vanilla chocolate. Like what is the one, jammy something or other?
Jammy biscuit, yeah. Jammy biscuit. Yeah, I think it's just because look, I'm really privileged. Like my manufacturer, that's his jam, so to speak. He loves protein, he loves flavoring it, and he's a genius at it. And like I'm privileged to have learned a little bit from him, and I hopefully will learn a lot more from him. I think it's because like obviously I have a background in chemical and pharmaceutical science. I think people think you can just turn your hand to everything and it's good, but like there's so much experience and time and effort involved. Like if you're blending 100 kilos of protein or 200 kilos of protein, if you fuck that up, you've just got to bin that shit. Like it's like there's so many intricacies in something that you think, oh, that's simple, but it's really not. And I guess from being on that side of it, like learning all of this, it does make me more appreciative of things. And I think where I wasn't as before, now I massively am. And I think the reason that we bought out kind of different types of flavors is because I didn't want to bring out the same generic shit, and also because we were doing it in, I guess the product is more expensive than normal stuff. I wanted to give people a different kind of look to what we're doing in a different type of flavor system, and also just give people, more options that, maybe they might be sick of the vanilla chocolate. And so I was like, well, fuck, I'll do hazelnut, I'll do chocolate peanut butter, I'll do jammy biscuit, I'll do golden blondie, I'll do these type of things, carrot cake and stuff like that. Like, and don't get me wrong, other people have come out with similar things after us, and some of them had it before us as well. Like, so there's no point in saying it isn't. Like, and I found that out sometimes after the fact that I've done stuff. But the fact is like, I think it's not that you need to spice things up. I think you need to kind of, a lot of the stuff came from because I have a gym, I guess, and maybe Robert can attest to this. When you have a gym, you have a lot of people's opinions. Now, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them, and a lot of them are full of shit. But there's a certain few people that you will always gravitate towards because they want you to succeed. So when we were doing a lot of the protein, like some of the flavors, I don't give a fuck about. Like carrot cake, for instance, I couldn't give a fuck about that. You could give me a carrot cake and say this is the best carrot cake ever, and I'd fully believe you because I've never really had it. It's not my thing. But when we were doing it, a guy in the gym loves it. He's like, "Can you do me carrot cake?" I was like, "Fuck it, I'll give it a go." So I got my manufacturer to rustle one up, and it supposedly he was like, "This is the best thing I've ever had." So I mean, like, if we can do that, and every single flavor, like New York cheesecake is for me, Neapolitan is for Lisa, Golden Blondie is for Tim. They all have a kind of little story behind them, because if you can make, especially if people are dieting or they're serious bodybuilders, and we also wanted to make a protein that they weren't going to, sneeze and shit themselves, So we didn't want to like full of lactose. We wanted to make sure everything was fully transparent. And if people do obviously have a massive intolerance to that, they know that on the label there's some proteins that contain that, and they can also research it themselves. And also we're given the exact grammage of what they're, getting from each source. And I think that's educating people, because like obviously an isolate is 90% protein, can be a little bit higher, but for kind of sake, you do that. It concentrates 80%, micellar casein is 85%, etc. So you can kind of get educate people along the way. And I think the more education that people have, then they can kind of spot something that's good or not so good, or why it's cheaper than this. And I think that's probably the main reason we made it as transparent as we could, because if I just said, "Oh, there's this in it," well, how much is that in it? You could take the cheapest source of protein, put that as 90% of it, and the other is a sprinkle of each. And I just didn't want to do that. And I wanted to be as transparent as I could, just to educate people on that as well, and just show what you're capable of doing if you, I have an amazing manufacturer, and B, if you kind of want to put the money into it. And it is really a money-driven industry with certain products, because not everybody wants to make them for you. And as I said, I'm lucky people take a chance on what I'm doing and believe in what I'm doing, because the last thing you want to do is bring in 4 tons of product and go, "Oh fuck, I'm now stuck with this because that Irish idiot can't sell shit."
Adrian, your protein is back in stock?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Five flavors to start off with, and then we'll get the rest in. Yeah.
Old ones, or did you come up with something new?
We have new ones to come out in the future. We'll probably have a line of.
But right now, you have the existing ones.
I have 5. So I have butterscotch pancake. I have golden blondie. What else have we got?
Your jammy biscuits.
Jammy, yeah, we did the jammy biscuit as well. We did, of course. I'll have to send you one of them, mate. Then you can tell me what you think of jammy biscuit, bro. And New York cheesecake. And
didn't you have a blueberry one too at one point?
What's the other one?
Was there a blueberry one, Adrian?
Yeah, there's blueberry. Yeah, blueberry muffin. Yeah, because I that one was for me too. Because when I used to compete, I used to like have blueberry muffins before I train all the time, the Chris Aceto shit. So I used to fucking love blueberry muffins. I'd fucking whack down 2 of them. So yeah. Okay. So
the butterscotch was phenomenal. Neapolitan I also tried, was very, very good.
Yeah.
The biscuits I haven't tried. I want to try that one.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll send a few over to you guys, and you can go nuts. Get all protein out of your brains.
So here's a question. Adrian, I envy you for the fact that you're in the UK. I don't want to get all political, but here in the US, things are so fucked up.
No, mate, it's pretty fucked up here too, bro.
If I didn't have kids and financially, I'd jump ship and get the fuck out of the US like some of the other people. But are you and or Robic having problems with the tariffs, getting all sorts of ingredients and whatnot? Tariffs working both ways? Are you guys getting hit on this craziness?
I have encountered only one problem with one ingredient company, where they kind of, I think they used it as an advantage, and they jacked up the prices through the roof. So, we had a very unpleasant conversation. I didn't like the main thing I don't like when people are lying. So I had to kind of, I would say, as much as possible, to cut them off or to reduce, the amount of business that we're doing with them. Other than that, I don't think we got affected that much. At least I haven't noticed that. I mean, there's like minor something, but if you get your quantities now that Adrian is involved with manufacturing, he understands if your volume increases a little bit, that kind of cut the costs a little bit too. So we were able to kind of level it out more or less. So I haven't noticed much of a difference. The only thing is, again, I don't know how it is in UK, but the price of protein, specifically isolate, is still through the roof. I mean, that shit is insane. But I don't think it has anything to do with tariffs.
No, I think what's happened here is more so corporation tax has gone up and that type of stuff. But that's because of all the, I suppose, flooding the country with different types of things, and just not being able to kind of functionally take care of things. The housing situation is dire over here. There's a lot of things going wrong, but it's mainly governmental. But it's the same with every country. Do you know what I mean? Everything ebbs and flows. And I think, like Robic said, I think if you just stay in your own lane and kind of get on with things, that's what I tend to do, because like every country has its issues. You know, like you said, you've tariffs. That's probably come into it as well. Just mainly getting ingredients, sourcing ingredients has become a lot harder. Because I think especially some of the Chinese ingredients, they tend to be holding on to them a lot longer. But I think it's just one of those things, is like every country has its benefits and its disadvantages, probably like, you know, the States and over here as well. Like, you know, I'm lucky, as I said, the main region is they're putting up a lot of the things like VAT, like just general taxes on people. It's not just for my business, it's for everyone. So like I think corporation tax went from 18% to 25%, which is huge, you know, because that's on your net profit. And that massively affects everything, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to reinvest into your business again and again and again, that has to be paid. And obviously, you know, when you're taking your dividends out of that, then you have to pay tax on your dividends, then you have to pay tax on your personal income, then you have to pay tax. So like by the end of it, you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm not left with a whole lot here. I'm almost paying more money out than I get, and everybody's in the same boat. So it's like, well, if I'm affected by it, everybody is, and it's kind of a worldwide thing. I think it's just everything is jazzed up with different kind of, oh, we put a tariff on this, or we put a corporation tax on this, or we've done this, and I think it's just, it levels itself out to a certain degree. But yeah, it is a little bit difficult. We've definitely found certain things. The cost of living has gone up massively over here. Big time. And like I understand, like we have to help people, you know, if you're in a situation where you can, you should do, but also I think you have to look inwardly in the country itself and help the people that are here too. Like there's a lot of homeless people here, there's a lot of things going on here too, so I mean there has to be a yin and a yang with it too, you know. So yeah, that's it. Definitely has affected us, but I don't think in the same kind of tariff way. And probably, as Robic said, it's like you have to have conversation with people. If you have a great relationship with some of your suppliers and stuff like that, I don't think you're gonna burn bridges. And at the end of the day, I'm only in my infancy in the manufacturing side of it, so a lot of other people are taking care of that more so I'm probably not as qualified to answer that as best I could. But I've definitely, like Robic said, the protein is fucking crazy, but I do think there's massive other factors that are affecting that. You know, like, you know, you have massive, you know, milk companies and protein milk, and everything comes from milk, really, you know, milk and cheese. So like it's the dairy is a totally different kind of kettle of fish to deal with. Like I even have like a little stock market thing almost about seeing the prices of dairy go up and go down, and it's like, it's phenomenally hard to kind of, it's also like where you would be able to prospect 6 months in advance with a lot of stuff anymore. You can't really do that. It's like you have to almost take a month by month. And that's a fucking massive headache. I don't know if Robic's found that, but I have massively. It's like I can't, you know, I would try and always project 6 months in advance, or even 3 months, just to be honest, or even quarterly, and you just can't really do that anymore. And there's a level of uncertainty that kind of exists in that kind of realm, and that's sometimes a very annoying place to be. It makes you more proactive, and I don't put things on the back foot as much as I used to, because I'm like, I can do that. But now I'm like, fuck, I need to do that now. So it has its advantages and disadvantages in that sense. But yeah, I haven't found much of a difference. Just obviously there's more money being taken out of my pocket for fuck all else. So that's a bit annoying. But it is what it is.
I don't even think Robic can plan a week in advance because he's doing something every week with a drop.
Yeah, but still, it's definitely very challenging. I mean, you know, especially again the prices. But I agree with Adrian. I mean, it's not like, you know, I'm a dick or he's a dick and we decided to increase the prices. It's across the board everywhere. So kind of, as much as like, you know, people of course are upset, but they do understand that this is just the way it is. The cost of living is up, everything is up, and there is not much you can do. We're trying to, as much as we can, especially right now with distribution, going to different countries and, you know, the brand growing, we're trying to kind of level it with, you know, increased purchasing power. So, you know, going from once upon a time when we used to order 250 units of something to now ordering a lot more than that per flavor and per product. That helps us, of course, to bring the cost down. And of course, manufacturers will be more willing to work with you when you're getting a little bit bigger. So that helped us a lot. You build certain relationships also, and you understand certain ingredients and how they work. And with Adrian, he did it the smart way. He's kind of involved with manufacturing right now, so it does help him a little bit also in that department. So yeah, there is always a way to find, and it's a struggle. It's not easy. It's definitely a challenge. But again, people do understand it, especially when you sell a premium product. There is just no way around it. That's just the way it is. So I think we okay, but still, it's a daily battle. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Adrian, someone was asking, did you build the supplement brand as kind of an extension of the gym like Robic did? Or was there or just totally independent?
No, the gym is called Dark Side Gym, so it's after one of our products. Our kind of I guess our flagship product, so to speak. So it was just I always kind of had either gyms or had something in the remit, and I just kind of decided, look, fuck it, the brand I think is established enough to kind of build its own, I guess, based on more old school hardcore equipment that I kind of grew up using or wanted, and because of obviously all the Flex magazines and all the stuff. And then at one time I was doing a bit of writing for Flex magazine, so I guess I was always influenced by that stuff. So it was always just when you see those old pictures of people with Cybex or Life Fitness or Nautilus, you're kind of just always influenced by them. And I guess my first main influence kind of training wise was, I suppose, Mike Metzner's type of stuff, and the kind of train to failure type stuff. Obviously the older stuff where he's saying like train once every 6 years or whatever the fuck he's going on about, I didn't really heed. But definitely at the start, the more kind of Dorian Yates-esque type of training, I followed more of that because I kind of started powerlifting, got really good at that, and then obviously went through that, so it kind of fitted my kind of zeitgeist of stuff. But obviously training with a lot of different people, I kind of picked things up along the way, especially with the kind of Tom Platz style of leg training with more of the higher reps and stuff like that. But I mean, I think, it was just kind of to bring, make kind of modern old school, if that makes any sense. There's some new bits of like some of the new tech stuff I've been looking at. I think that's really, really cool. But again, I think that's based a lot on, some of the older pieces, like some of the old Cybex stuff and some of the Nautilus stuff, and then just bought into modern remit where they're using they have multi-handles where you can just twist them all around. I think there's some cool stuff that's coming through, and I think they've done some really cool bits of kit. They have a pull down, you can switch a bar in and then make it a wider grip. So I think there's some cool stuff that's coming where a lot of the time it was just kind of, I suppose, made for multi gyms and mass gyms, and they kind of look like bits of plastic shit that would break, and I was like, I'm never into that. So a lot of our stuff is all like Paramount, Cybex, old school Nautilus, Gen 1, Gen 2, stuff like that. And that's we kind of bought like that to it, and then if we see more modern stuff or if I can build stuff myself, I'll get that done by a fabricator. So it's just kind of to build, look, I can't sell something I don't believe in. So I'm not going to put a load of fancy new equipment that I think is a bag of shite in my gym. It just doesn't fit and I'm probably, to a certain degree, I'm probably a cheap cunt in some ways. So if I can get a deal, I love a good deal. So I'm gonna rack that. So if I can get a load of Nautilus, get it refurbed, I'm going to do that, because then I know that big kit, because it's lasted 30 years already. If I put a bit of money into it, it's probably going to last me another 30 years. So I'm like, that's kind of the way I am too. And as I said, there is some good companies, Panada has some good stuff, New Tech has some good stuff, there's things like that. But I think eventually I'll probably get into making, I've made some of my equipment, but I'll probably make a lot more and eventually do some alpha stuff eventually and kind of put the dog logo on it and bits and pieces like that. But again, it's a time factor, and probably my ADHD makes me want to do 50 things at once and half-ass do them all. So I kind of got to reel that in.
So, okay, being gym owners, are gym equipment companies putting like too much emphasis? Like, let's face it, there's no more old school. It's like the new equipment. Oh, we're gonna specifically work the back head of the delt. We're gonna specifically do the long head of the bicep. Are we like overemphasizing the equipment too much?
I think that you have right now a different era. When it comes to gyms and fitness centers. I mean, we definitely have a TikTok nation right now, and I think that it's a lot different. I have a gym literally around the corner from my house. I think it's called Iron Revolution, which is one of the most popular local fitness gym facilities for influencers. And I stepped in there, and it looks like a nightclub. I mean, it's nice. The equipment is nice. Don't get me wrong. but there are more cameras than people. I mean, people come with tripods and a few cameras and setups and stuff like that. Again, I mean, I'm probably in the wrong here because majority rules. So who am I to speak? It's just not my environment. I like old school gyms, maybe because I'm old. I don't know, but I like just different approach to training.
Yeah.
As Adrian was saying, the Dorian Yates, Mike Manser. I mean, some people don't even know who Dorian Yates is. I wouldn't be surprised that some, of the, younger generations. When we were younger, we knew exactly who Larry Scott was. So it's a different approach. It's a different generation, and the equipment is nice and shiny and costs ridiculous amount of money. I had a Panada representative coming to the gym, and I looked some of the prices. They were just ridiculous. I mean, we're talking $8, $10, $12,000 for a piece of equipment. I mean, if you're gonna try and equip your gym with that, you're gonna be broke. You better have some very serious financing. And I'm not saying, I mean, probably you guys are thinking, or people that are listening, that I'm going in that direction where I'm going to criticize Panata or Newtek. Not at all. Some of the equipment is phenomenal. Some of the equipment I don't like, I'll be honest. Some I think is just too far. And even, a few, what is that? Arsenal. Arsenal has some great equipment, but they also have equipment that I really don't like. The equipment I'm not impressed with at all. And, so I think it's just overpriced, but you know what? Maybe guys like me and Adrian and you, we are definitely the minority for sure, and we should know our place. We are the minority today, and we can say like back in the day, and we can say in our time and stuff like that. Nobody gives a shit about us, nobody. But the good thing is while we own gyms and we own supplement brands, there are people who want our type of gyms. The minority. There is definitely market for it. There are people who miss it. So, I know that Apollon gym in our area, there is nothing even remotely close to it. Nothing. There's a lot of LA Fitness and Retro Fitness and Planet Fitness and 24-hour fitness. There's lots of them. But there is only one Apollon gym within probably 40-minute drive, 30, 40 an hour. There is only one of them. So everybody from the area will definitely come to us that want that kind of atmosphere, that type of training, or those kind of machines with a pullover machine that is older than me. There is definitely demand for it, and I think there's always going to be demand for it. So we might not have thousands and thousands of members, but we're always going to have that niche of people that want to come to our type of facilities, and that's enough for us in terms of. It's enough to know that we are still needed, and that it's still enough, to know that there are still, and it's not only guys in our age group, like 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't know about Adrian, but lately I'm very surprised. I have a lot of female members. I have a lot of kids that actually do want to train in that facility. 10 years ago, to be honest with you, I was panicking because my gym was only guys in the late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Right now, we have a lot of kids that actually do want that type of training, and the same with supplements. There are a lot of people who will buy. Vast majority of people will buy will buy something from CBOM. They're not going to be interested in Alpha Neon, or they're not going to be interested in Apollon. Do we have better products? I'm going to say it out loud. Yes, we do. We have a much better product than CBOM, much better, but we will not have the same demand because we don't have CBOM representing the company. That's just the reality of it. And, that's a reality that we have to accept. And like Adrian said, we cannot compare ourselves to others. We have to worry about what we do, and we have to have the best Alpha Neon. We have to have the best Apollon nutrition. That's what we have to focus on. And our gyms, it's exactly the same thing. There is a reason why we have certain members, and I'm sure Adrian has also members that have been going to his gym for years now, and they're not switching. And I'll tell you another thing is Apollon is not the cheapest gym in the area. I would say that, we are on par with others and maybe even more expensive than, say, Planet Fitness or whatnot. But I'm pretty sure we have members of the gym that if we're going to raise the price for whatever reason, we're going to be forced to raise the price by $5-10. They will pay. They will pay because that's the environment that they want. That's the type of gym that they want. but try to raise the price by $5 at Planet Fitness, you're gonna have a fucking revolution going on. There's gonna be a fucking struggle. It's gonna be crazy. So I think we have to focus on what we do. And when it comes to equipment, I'm proud of the fact that we have equipment that is 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old, and people actually cherish that. They respect that. So will we bring something from Panada or New Tech? Probably yes. I mean, they do have good equipment, but for now, I'm proud of the fact that we have the old Hammer Strength and we have the old Cybex equipment. There are very rare pieces that are very hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, like our average age is about 24, so we have a very young kind of remit here. And I think what it is like, I will say, like you brought up Sebum, but I think he built his own gym and he had a lot of older school equipment in there, and we had some of the pieces by sheer just whatever. And I think that's something, they are influenced by these guys and stuff like that, and you have to. That's a way you can buy into it. Is like, well, look at some of the equipment they use. Maybe you can get that in your gym. You know what I mean? And we didn't do that. That was by sheer osmosis. But I mean, the younger kids are like, they know about some of the old school Hammer Strength stuff that we have here. They know about the Nautilus Nitro bits that we have here. They know, that's Gen 1, Gen 2. And even Panada, they're bringing out a chain loaded whole line of stuff to bring back their old school stuff as well. So I mean, obviously if they're doing it, like we have a lot of Magnum pieces in here as well, like the old school Magnum stuff, and that's all chain driven, and like you cannot really beat that stuff because there's constant tension on it. It feels fucking amazing, and like the maintenance on it is very, very low. Like we have a lot of Kevlar belts as well. They're pretty good. Obviously, sometimes people adding weight to it and stuff like that can fuck up the camber, but it is part of the spectrum that we're in now. You know what I mean? So like Rob said, is how can you have to be an individual, and you also have to take inspiration from people, but how can it fit what you're doing without changing it? Like there's no point in me coming in here and, buying 50 pieces of new Panada stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, that'd be cool, but it would alter the whole demographic and the whole ideology of why I set this place up. And the whole reason was this was kind of the warehouse for Alpha, and I said, like, I had some equipment here, and to be honest, I was just going to use it as a place for myself, like just being a greedy bastard. But when you're just, working out with you and your mates in 12,000 square foot building, you're kind of a fucking dumbass. So Lisa said to me, is like, look, we need to open up a gym. You're fucking pissing money away. You're being an asshole just because you just want to be by yourself. Why don't you just open the place up? And then you can buy more equipment. I was like, oh, fucking sweet. As long as I can buy more equipment, I'm in. So that was really the whole remit of it. And to be honest with you, I'm really glad that I did that, because it's opened me up to, seeing what the younger generation like to a certain degree, rather than just being some grumpy old bastard and going, fuck you. You know what I mean? So it's given me a whole different spectrum on, the dumbassery that they do, and also the kind of smart things that they do. Because like, I'm an old fuck. I don't really want to be on social media. I couldn't really give two fucks about it. But at the end of the day, that's the way the world works now. And you have to kind of be open to that rather than just being dismissive.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you have to adapt without losing your identity, because that's very, very important. I always said, if we can bring, and we brought some of the newer equipment too, a couple of pieces, because Panada and, those guys, they do have some great equipment. But the main thing is that where I say we don't have a big gym. Our gym is small. People are used to it in a certain way. We can today sell, say, for example, all the equipment, we can get rid of it. And we're going to replace it with the new equipment, the new style, the new generation. Here's the main problem that I see. We're not going to gain a lot by doing that, because now we have what others have, but they are bigger than us. They have more variety. They can do a lot more. So just now, we basically told our loyal members, the one that's what they wanted. They wanted that old school vibe, those chains and old equipment and stuff like that. We basically told them, well, you know what? Now we're changing. We're going to lose them, but we're not going to gain a lot. I think there has to be like a fine balance where you still kind of can adapt to the newer style without losing your true identity. And that was the main thing always, when right now, even Shane, every post that he makes, he goes, Apollon is a hardcore brand. And I don't necessarily think, and I said it numerous times, that we are a hardcore brand, but we do have a hardcore identity. That's how we started. So now kind of like Adapted, we have to make sure that there is a fine balance where we can definitely get more followers, more customers, more people introducing to Apollon Nutrition, that we are not just selling, 600 milligram of caffeine, and that's what we're all about too. But we also don't want to lose that customer, and we don't want to lose that loyal follower that's been with us for many years or from the beginning.
Yeah.
So to find that balance is definitely a challenge, but it definitely can be done.
Yeah. I think it's like you said there, which is very true of even my own brand. What makes you can break you to a certain degree if you don't adapt or you don't diversify a little bit. And the main thing with us is that obviously we were known for a lot of pre-workouts, really, hardcore pre-workouts and stuff like that, and that's great. And obviously I started at the company with very little money. I started with like 700 quid, so it was just a fuck it moment. So I bought out one product. Obviously it went really well, but now we have like 6 more products coming in, because I read a lot of, I see a lot of blood work, and a lot of people like ask me to look at it and blah 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 blah. And through looking at a lot of that stuff, I've seen a lot of commonalities between what people are doing. So we based a lot of that on more health-based products that were coming out. Well, we had Rise and Shine that we bought out last year, which has gone down really, really, not last year, I think a bit longer than that, but it was basically stuff I was putting together into a supplement for a long period myself, based on psyllium husk, apple cider vinegar, etc. And I think you have to bring out those more mainstream products. Like, I never thought I'd bring out a hydration product, but I couldn't find one on the market when I was looking for one, actually, when I was building parts of this place, that had the ideal quantities of sodium, potassium, etc. that I wanted in a product. So I went, fuck it, I'll just make my own. And a lot of the times that'll come out of that. And yeah, don't get me wrong, we have my dog's face on the brand, it's called Alpha, blah, 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 blah. But the main reason was I had a company when I was 20 years of age called Alpha. That's why it came through, and it was called Alpha Nutrition. I put Alpha Neon together because it was easy to get a trademark. So, I mean, there's reasons for it behind it, but I think men and women can be alpha, but it's more about just the whole ideology behind it is just following who you are and just being who you are, not being afraid of that. And that's really what, and also, the same for me and the same for Robic is we have ideas of what we want to use as products, and that's why we make them. And I think I could never make or sell a product that wasn't, for instance, I don't like cream of rice. So I just don't have a cream of rice product. Now I'm looking at other sources of stuff to do something with that I would eat, but I just don't really like it. It's just not my jam. So people have asked me time and time again, why haven't you got this out? It's really popular. I'm like, fuck, I don't really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fucking eat it. And we were given a good source of it once, and then we couldn't get it again. So I was like, well, that's out of the fucking question. So, I mean, I can't be disingenuous. And it's the same with the gym. I can't be disingenuous. Oh, did you bring in that shoulder piece? Yeah. Have you ever used it? No, fuck, could be a piece of shit, mate. I need to go and try everything. And I'll specifically travel to gyms around the country that have certain pieces that I'm thinking of buying before I buy them. I love flex equipment. I'm lucky that there's a gym in the about an hour away, and they have a load of flex pieces. So when I'm looking at buying one of those, because they're rare as rock and horse shit over here and they're very expensive, so I will go try them out. You know what I mean? Even an old Cybex leg press, they're going at £7,000 or £8,000, same as the hack squats over here. So I mean, they're more expensive than you hack squats. So I'm if I'm going to invest in one of them fuckers, I'm going to go try that out. And if I don't like it, I don't give a shit. If everyone says it's great, I ain't going to put it in my gym. And that's the same with if I don't believe in it, everybody else can. Don't get me wrong, loads of people love cream rice. I think fucking fair play to you. But if I can't eat and literally use every single product that I have at some point of the day or some point of the week, I ain't going to make it. I'm just not. And that's the reality of it. Sometimes obviously you have to get out of your own head and be commercially viable with stuff, but other times you just can't be disingenuous. And I find a hard time doing that, because then I would just feel like a dick. It's just want to be.
Guys, a couple more questions as we wind down. Any new ingredients that have caught either of your eyes?
I haven't really seen anything for a while. There was supposed to be a new kind of nootropic blend that was coming out, but I don't know what it was called, Elevate or something. That looked interesting. There was some, I think, cayenne pepper mixed with fern green or something that came across my table a while back. I thought that was kind of okay, but nothing really, mate. I think the thing is how do you really, a lot of the times I just see people, they just fuck two ingredients together and go, oh, we'll call it whatever.
We'll put a trademark on it and charge you guys double.
Yeah, treble usually. So yeah, like it's kind of weird. I just find that fucking stuff hilarious because I'm like, well, fuck me, really. So yeah, I like unless something is the problem is especially over in the UK, like we're sort of our hands are sort of tied with what we can do, and that's fine. I think like if you can figure out things, like not always more is better. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes I start off with a panel and it looks phenomenal, and then we put it together and it's fucking dog shit, and I'm like, fuck, why is that? But you know, especially if you're doing pre-workouts, you have to look at vasoconstriction, vasodilating. You know, how can you upregulate certain products with other products, and that's really where, like, I think you separate like the men from the boys with certain things, and especially I guess in the remit that me and Rob live in, we can't just bring out a 4-ingredient pre-workout. People will be looking at us going, are you fucking insane? You know, I'll put some beta alanine, I'll put some L-citrulline, I'll put some caffeine, and I don't know, I'll put some bitter orange extracts. There you go, lads. Do you know what I mean? Even though that would probably do okay, but they'd be like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? So again, you know, what makes you can break you to a certain degree, and you kind of have to not really up the ante, but just be more sophisticated in what you're doing. But the good thing about that is it makes you think, you know. I think that's good. Like obviously, you know, it's fun to bring out singular ingredient products that you believe in, like magnesium glycinate or some shit like that, but like, or biglycinate, whatever the fuck you want to put in. But like there's stuff like that is cool to bring out, or even just a Tulka product or stuff, because, you know, they have, you know, really kind of impactful kind of effects. So I mean, like there's good with that, but again, it's just, as I said, you have to be, there's nothing really I've seen you know, for the past while that's gone, oh my god, that's pioneering shit right there. I think we all have kind of ingredients we can pick from, and you're just putting different stickers on a fucking wheel, and that's really what it is. And I think the nuance comes from, you know, making it a little bit different or feel a certain way when you're combining certain ingredients and figuring that out. I think that's where the real kind of, I wouldn't even say science, but the real kind of, you know, I suppose expertise comes in. And I think that's why if you can keep doing that, then, you know, you're smart. But I found by, you know, even having the gym, just seeing different types of blood work and seeing what people are doing more so than anything, because a lot of the time people are trying to fill in genetics with other compounds, which I think is fucking insanity. But that's because we live in a, like, you know, Robert said, a TikTok world or an Instagram world where the youth are much more influenced by what they see. And, you know, even though them people mightn't look like that in person at all, you know, like I've seen some of these influencers, like, fucking hell, you're tiny, bro. And then I've seen other ones, I'm like, fucking hell, that dude is jacked, you know. So it's really kind of strange because you just see a ripped downlighting guy and you're like, oh, I want to look like that, and he's only 20. And it's like, yeah, but you probably could get like that in a couple of years if you just trained hard and just, you know, not fucked around and gone out on the weekends and ate 2 takeaways, fucking took 4 grams of coke, you daft cunt, you know. But it's very hard to get that kind of across to people, you know what I mean? It's like bodybuilding is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think if you use it as a lifestyle, you know, and I guess Robic's a testament to that. Like me and Robic, I'm in my 40s and stuff, and it's just like you know, he still goes to Thailand, still, you know, goes to AKA, still kicks the shit out of pads, you know, lifts some weights, you know, and enjoys what you're doing. And it's like, you've got to practice what you preach. Like, am I saying I'm going to be Mr. Olympia? Fuck no. But like, I enjoy lifting weights. I'm still a strong ass motherfucker, and I can still punch around a couple of people. So as long as I can do that into my 60s and 70s and my dick still works, I'll be happy, you know what I mean? So, and if it doesn't, I'll make a supplement for it, or I'll just fucking take a few blue pills and I'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? So
you're okay. And I keep telling Robic, you got to make something for the hair here. Forget everything, not the brain. You guys got to come up with something for the hair.
Me, I'm fine, mate. I'm good.
I know you are. Fuck you.
You gotta sleep upside down, man.
No, Adrian is right. I mean, they're always like, I get emails and stuff, and you know, there are definitely a lot of ingredients that are coming out, and some of them are interesting. I mean, some of them are even maybe promising, but like you said, nothing pioneering, nothing that, you know, like, you know, mind blowing or anything like that. Even though like some of the influencers and some of the paid of review channels and stuff like that, they're trying to bring and make a statement or something like that, oh my God, you know, this is revolutionary ingredient. There's nothing revolutionary for the past couple of years, but you can still make a very good formula. You can still create some innovation based on what we got. You know, people are still underdosing products. People are still putting shit in their products. I mean, the field is wide open, so I'm not really worried about it. Would be nice to have something innovative. And again, there is definitely a couple of ingredients that are very interesting. I'll be using a couple of them that are good. I'm not going to scream, that they're game-changing, amazing, stuff that never been done before. I mean, like I said, you can still put stuff together. What's the next question?
Do you guys have a favorite nootropic? Either one of you guys?
Not really. I like a combination of a couple, but to say that I took Noopept a couple of times as a standalone, and I did like it. But to say that that I have a favorite one that really, listen, I have ADHD, so I have taken Adderall.
Nothing compares.
Nothing compares. I mean, that's just a fact. There is a couple. There is a combination of a couple of ingredients that you can put together, and it does work and it does help. But I don't have a favorite for sure.
Okay. Adrian, I know some of your pre's you're on beta alanine. Is that by choice, or is it just not a big seller internationally? Beta alanine, that is.
No, there's two. Like I have, so like we'd say like Dark Side Onslaught. So we've Dark Side Onslaught, Dark Side Onslaught Ultima. So Ultima does have beta alanine in it. Our Maximum Carnage V2 has beta alanine in it. But I'll be honest with you, I fucking hate beta alanine. I look like I'm scratching my bollocks. I'm scratching my fucking hair out. I don't like the feeling of it. So I've made alternatives for people to pick between. But also the way I looked at it is this, right? Every single fucking product has beta alanine in it. Now, if I'm the one that doesn't, even though that might be a small minority that doesn't want that product, they can really only buy mine. So I'm like, fuck it. I've got that market cap, baby. So that's the way I look at it. Like, so people have asked me for beta alanine time and time again, especially the review bros. Them motherfuckers, I think they live on fucking beta alanine. So I did put it in like a couple of my products, but again, I have the alternative without it, just so people have a bit of a choice. And as well as that, I'm not a massive fan of it. Like, I think it's a cool ingredient. I think what it does is cool. I think the saturation point is 183 or 186 grams, some shit like that off the top of my head. And that's cool, but I just don't want to take 3.5 grams 60 odd times to get to that level. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to have my own one without it. So yeah, like, I think it works. I think it's a great ingredient. It's, it's shit. It's been around so long, and the effects are good, but I'm not a fan of just being like this as I walk in the fucking gym. Do you know what I mean? I have fucking fleas. And you know what? Yeah, well, that's it. Like, or you're doing squats and you're scratching your fucking bollocks. Like, I don't think anyone wants to see me scratch my dick as I go to a squat bar. So I'm like, no, it's not a fan. And I seem to react really like heavily to it. Like, it's not like I'm just like there. I'm like, this for fuck's sake, and you don't know you're doing it. And then you're talking to somebody like a fucking crazy person. So no, I'm just not a fan.
I agree. I'm also not a big fan. I don't like the feeling of it. But the truth is, I think we have to, on UK side, we have the review brothers to blame for it. And on US side, we have DJ to blame for it. Because I remember I didn't put beta alanine in, what was it? Bare Knuckle. No, Bare Knuckle. I didn't put it in Bare Knuckle. I think the second or third version, I didn't put it in. And the reason why I didn't was because I honestly don't think, like Adrian said, you need a saturation point. And I don't think it's that important to have in a pre-workout, I mean, just it's a pure preference. But what it does is that, that itching and fucking scratching and stuff like that, some people just want it. Like, a lot of people want it. They want to feel those tingles. They don't want to feel that effect. They probably mistaking it for a stimulant or something like that. And I think they just like the feeling that, it's definitely a sure thing to feel a pre-workout. Apart from caffeine and nootropics, beta alanine is the first thing that you were like, oh shit, it kicked in. And nothing kicked in, but that feeling, I think, psychologically is there, and that's the reason why people like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Robic, here's a weird one. Is Maria Masha the biggest revelation or breakthrough star for Apollon in 2025? I don't know if she watches.
I'm sure she watches. I'm sure she watches, but you know what? I think that it's a mystery because we've been discussing it quite often. Like, lately, we've done a couple of collaborations. We've done a couple of things with different athletes, and the fact remains is that her flavor. I mean, it is a great flavor. I have to admit that French apple tart is fucking phenomenal. But that was the fastest selling collaboration we have ever done. And I think that, a lot of us you have personalities like Adrian, but look at him. He looks like he's about to kill somebody. So that is
Probably,
perceived as normal. You know, he has that aggressive look, and he's a down to earth fucking pussycat. He's a great guy. But the truth is, he has that persona that comes, the hair, everything, the beard. It works. So with him, you see is what you get. That's the personality he has. He's very straightforward. When it comes to women and I mean men also in general, they put up an act on social media. Everybody puts an act, you know, where they do their makeup and their hair and they say certain things and they put up an act. And I think that, you know what, it not that it doesn't work, but it's not the same. For most people, I don't think it works. With Masha, I think is the fact that we've been friends for many years. I've known her before Apollon, and her laugh used to drive me nuts. Like I used to hate her laugh. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" You know, and obviously that straightforward personality, it just, you know, for me personally, I thought it was a little rough around the edges, but we featured her in one video or something, and people were drawn to her and the way she responds to people on social media and the way she talks to them. I think that what you see is what you get, personality that you get from her, an attractive woman that is not from the industry, like the complete opposite of who I am and the complete opposite of what Adrian. I think it's a breath of fresh air that people are not used to, and that I give zero fucks personality. She's very down to earth person. She's smart, intelligent, very kind, has a big heart.
Naughty.
Yeah, well, that's the naughty part is it's who she is, and that's the reason, you know, I would, if I'm friends with somebody, you know, I'm friends with Adrian, I would never tell him to tone it down. I would never tell him to behave a certain way. That does not make me a good friend.
Yeah.
If you're a friend, you support your friends no matter what. You have their backs. And it's not that I let her be who she is. I just accept her who she is. And I think that, you know, people have accepted who she is. And again, that's like I said before, a breath of fresh air. And I think that that's the reason why, you know, like the question is in 2025, that kind of came out of the blue, guns blazing. Like, okay, there is a woman who does interesting photography, obviously, you know, who can bake and cook and does different recipes, who has a very unorthodox presence and very unorthodox laugh, and she doesn't hide behind it. She doesn't try to mask who she is. And I think that, you know, that's the exact reason why people have been drawn to her. I think that also brings a lot of authenticity and a lot of real personality. So, you know, I kind of got to a point where I'm not trying to explain the phenomenon. I'm just accepted it for what it is. And I think, you know, at this point, it was just like, Masha, be, you know, who you are. And I think that accepting it, that's the reason why we're going to do more stuff with her. She's going to be more involved because from a business perspective, it works. And from a personal and promotional level as well, it works. So who am I to say no?
Awesome. So Adrian, we know proteins are back in. Any new drops coming up you want to share with the fans?
Yeah, so I've our heart health product coming out. I have a thyroid support product coming out. We just launched our sleeping aid in a pill version because people were asking for it for a while, but I was kind of like, fuck it, I prefer the powder. But we came up with a nice pill. What else have we come? A digestive aid product that's kind of going to be stacked with the Rise and Shine. Just mainly to do with enzymatic profiling, because I think my own ideology on it is that, like, you know, obviously if you have a massive allergic reaction, something obviously stay the fuck away from. But I think a lot of times people overeat certain foods, the enzymatic profiling isn't properly within their stomach. Obviously their stomach flora could be off. You know, there's a lot of factors there. So I think we've created 2 products that should help with that you're able to assimilate the products properly, or your food properly and stuff like that. Because I think a massive issue is a lot of people take care, you know, your liver, your kidneys and your heart and all that. And I think you definitely do. But a lot of stuff starts in the stomach, you know, and if you're not taking care of that, how can you assimilate half the food? If your gallbladder is out of whack, if your stomach acids are out of whack, if you're, you know, these are the things you're just throwing shit against.
We were doing so well.
And I think that, yeah, that's something that needs to be, you know, a lot more, because I think things that hasn't been the industry all the time. Like, I'll just take this and take this and stuff up, and a lot of it fucking mitigate. That's very prevalent. You're just putting your finger in the dam. Not causation of it and get rid of that. I think I'm not making that, but I mean, food is so fucking expensive nowadays. Anyway, you can every single bit.
Yeah, something with connection again.
So Robic, for you, we had one person asking about WPC protein. Now, you mentioned it. When is that coming out? Or have you a date for that?
Yeah, I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, in about 2 weeks, we will release a WPC 80 protein, which is going to be fully transparent, and it's going to yield 25 grams of protein, which is basically on a label. It's going to state 32 grams, and it's going to yield 25. So it's not going to be 25 minus 20%. That's actually going to be a full 25 grams of protein. It's going to come out in a few flavors right off the gate. And when I tell you that it's going to taste ridiculous, it's going to taste ridiculous. I mean, you'll see this is unlike anything has ever been done. And we actually going to grow that line. It's going to be, in a way, cheaper for the consumer, but it's still going to actually yield more protein, whey protein per serving than our Isoblast, which is phenomenal. So you're basically getting the same protein, but a full 25 grams per serving. I think, I think it's August 22.
More standardized flavors, or more exotic? I'm going to say exotic.
You know what? Actually, it's going to be too standard, but they're going to be, I mean, I can probably say it by now. I mean, one of the flavors is going to be Swiss chocolate.
Okay.
And, we actually worked on it pretty extensively to make sure that there's a distinct difference between that and Dutch chocolate that we have in 50/50. We even serve it to make sure that it does taste, we did an extensive research on Swiss chocolate itself, how it differs from, Belgian chocolate and Dutch chocolate and others. So that's going to be a very unique flavor that I think that's going to be easily one of the best tasting chocolates on the market. I mean, without a doubt.
Okay. And then, was there anything you wanted to lay on the seminar? I know we got a divergent. Any names you want to let out, or is it still kind of under wraps?
It's just I'm putting final details on few names, so I think within the next few days it's going to come out. I just want to make sure, not to say something that I might regret saying in terms of who's going to come, but it's definitely shaping up to be one of a kind. I mean, we're really excited about it. I will probably share with you. Maybe we can do a quick live or something like that. Announcing the full panel. We'll figure something out, but I'm pretty sure within a week we'll know.
I can let this out of the bag, and don't anybody bother Robic on who they are. But if it's everybody that you've shared with me in confidence, this will be the biggest by far you have ever had. And I gotta say, oh my God, if everybody comes to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, this is like that level that we had with Ronnie Coleman's seminar. I mean, it's definitely on that level, but just the star power is going to be pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, a couple of days we should know for sure.
And Adrian, we lost you for a minute there. The digestive enzyme, the digestive blend you were talking about. When do you plan on dropping that?
We do. So the digestive, the heart health, it's got more kind of blood pressure-ish type of thyroid, and that should be all out in the next 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's the plan.
And I know when
you have, go on.
I was gonna say when you and I hung out at the Arnold a couple of years back, you were talking about coming to Texas. Is that still in the agenda? Eventually moving to Texas?
Yeah, 100. Well, I don't think I'll be moving anytime soon, just because of other kind of things that have kind of gone through, just mainly because of the opportunities we have over here now. So, but I intend to kind of get a foothold over there, like spend a bit of time, maybe a month over there at least. Obviously, I'll come and see Robic. I'll go to New York and see the place and rock it out. But yeah, definitely, I want to spend a little bit more time in the US and just kind of get a lay of the land as well, like, because it's like everything has changed since I used to be over there a lot more. So you kind of have to, like, I don't know, are things very clicky, are things very open, you know, what the fuck it's like. So, you know, I've a couple of guys that I chat over there, the guys from Pump Sauce, they seem quite really good. Like, you know, Hash, I talked to him quite a bit, and a few of those guys. So like, it's good. Like, but I mean, you don't know till you get there. You know what I mean? Like, and you've got to kind of knock on a few doors and fucking shake a couple of hands and see how it goes. And like, I don't want to fucking walk before I crawl. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people get, you know, they see the vastness of it, they're like, oh, I can make all this fucking money just because something may work slightly well over here. It's a completely different landscape over there. I think you just have to, you know, learn from people and ask questions and not be afraid to do that. And yeah, but it's definitely something. Like, I like America, you know, I like some of the freedoms you guys have over there. And you know, I like warm weather, mate. The cold fucking kills my soul. Like, I know I'm an Irish motherfucker, but gee, fuck that shit. You know, I like being tanned. I like just fucking walking around in my boxers and flip flops for most of the fucking day. So I don't. Yeah, no, it's not great over here, mate. You know, I think I got fucking frostbite in my fucking toe last year. It was so cold. So fuck that. You know, so be either there, or Mexico, or something.
Something you said. Some of the freedoms. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, you get to carry guns. I don't fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you know, no fucking gun. You know, in Texas, you can legally shoot a pig out of a fucking helicopter. I don't think that's fucking ace. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm all about that. You know. Also, like, pit bulls aren't restricted over there; they are over here. So shit like that, like, you know, stuff that kind of like, I'd like to just be in a like 50-acre ranch just by my fucking self. That'd be cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be sound then. You know what I mean? Just have a little gym, have a couple of jeeps, have a couple of cars, and a load of guns. I'd be happy as picking shit, man. You know.
You will take your woman with you, though, right?
I don't know if she fucking doesn't play her cards right now. She's right there. I
know. Right, I'm asking. Well, perfect. Yeah. Well, Adrian, of course, your website is alphaneontm.com, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
People want to go over there. And of course, ApollonNutrition.com, AnarchyLabs.com. And Adrian, again, it's been long overdue. We'll get you back very soon. Thank you so much, my friend.
Awesome. Anytime. Sorry about the shit show of it cutting out at the start. I don't know what the fuck.
It's all good. And Robic, we'll talk soon, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the Sunday.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.